I feel like documenting this tip I just discovered because it saved me a lot of time. So I feel that it would save all of you guys a lot of time as well. I'm working on this Electron app, which is my encrypted AI secretary, and it is using Vite plus Electron, which is a way to make a browser-based app run as a GUI. I was working with O1 Pro back and forth, replacing files and adding in new upgrades that I wrote down in a step-by-step plan. And I kept getting stuck at this one step and I couldn't figure out why. So I pasted in the error and it wouldn't solve it based on the error. I was getting really lazy with it and I was getting frustrated. It wouldn't get it right. So I decided to be more specific with the error. And I was telling it when the code was working, when the code stopped working, what file caused the code to stop working, when in the step set, our code stopped working, the error, the files we worked with, and the different troubleshooting things I was trying. So it had full context, and giving it more of this information allowed O1 Pro to narrow down my problem. Then it ended up discovering the solution to the problem. The error occurs because I'm using Electron plus Vite, and O1 Pro kept trying to code node module code into the browser. That was just not gonna work, so my Electron app kept breaking. But for some reason, even though O1 Pro should know that this is a Vite Electron template, it still kept trying to do that. So he learned from the initial approach that we need to call any node module code into the renderer via IPC calls. If it sounds complicated, don't worry too much. The whole reason I'm showing this is more so the process of how I'm debugging this code and how I'm gonna save myself more time in the future. So O1 Pro discovered this error and we fixed it. Oh my God, it worked. We're like finally past the error. What I do for every single code base I make from now on is I have a couple of developer documentation markdown files so I could keep track of the architecture and the growth and the progress of the app as we go along. That way, future AI instances will always have the most important context off the top of its head, so it's easy for it to continue forward. In this case, I took the documentation that I was already writing and I was already tracking, gave it to O1 Pro, explaining, hey, that above solution is very valuable and we're going to need it for future reference. Please write down that process and architecture into the docs. And it did. It gave me back the updated architecture docs explaining how we should properly build modules. And now, every single time I talk to another O1 Pro instance on how to make an app or to make a feature, it does it perfectly fine because we track down the proper way of how to build these components forward. Moral of the story is context, context, context. Get AI to write more context as you build more complicated features for your app. That way you have everything in check and you save yourself a lot of headaches.